Yeah, this is Black Light. You know, we going back in time talking about Motown and Elijah Muhammad. How it was when Motown was booming. Talking about Berry Gordy and his crew when they was kicking out the tunes. They had a new sound mixed with jazz. Uh, Matter of fact, they the ones, in my opinion, that created pop music. You know, uh, Motown, Berry Gordy. Berry Gordy he wrote some tunes for Jackie Wilson. And I think Jackie Wilson was with a group called the Dominoes. I'm not for sure about that. But one of the crew in Jackie Wilson's uh, crew trained me and my group. I had a group. I didn't like the name Conservatives. I guess the guy who thought of it was thinking about conserving doo-wop and R&B, which is, well, I think it's on a decline in a way, just like jazz. Jazz is on a decline among black people, because black people uh, have a way of inventing new sounds, from the old sounds. But really it's the same thing, just the beat might change or whatever. But chords came from the blues. Three notes, a three-note chord with that minor in there, minor and majors, to give it that blue note. And then you came from that R&B, boogie woogie, and the rest. Our music didn't change names, boogie woogie, according to the times that it was in. And they do a trick by saying old school, And you could just about date songs by the way it was recorded or engineered, And now with this new technology, they can make a song sound like an old school tune or make it sound ultra modern, But Berry Gordy came up with a new sound, and the sound was in the basement of a house on West Grand Boulevard. But he had the Funk Brothers, a bunch of jazz musicians, and kicking out some funk, man. It was some straight up, it was jazz, but it was funk too. And it had a little blues in it, so it had a little R&B in it. But it wasn't a traditional R&B like let's see, who was R&B, straight up R&B? Otis Redding, straight up R&B. Otis, the southern twist to it. Sam and Dave, uh, but it was doo-wop. Talking about the Motown sound had that doo-wop thing to it too, But it was what I call pop music, because the beat was a little different, and it had a little soul in it. The vocalist, the one that made the soul, and David Ruffin and Paul Williams, they had that soul gospel thing to it. And Aretha was here, but she wasn't with Motown. Aretha was was straight up blues, R&B, rhythm and blues, you know, and with the gospel twist, you know. But then came the Funkadelics. See, the Funkadelics from like right around Ohio, but you know, you might as well say Ohio is our sister town, because you know we can go to be in Ohio in 2 hours, you know. And I used to hang out in Ohio, doing things, you know, hustling. And so, but they was up here. They wasn't with Motown, but they was with they call it the disc now, you know. What was the name back then? I don't forgot the name, but Roger was up in there with them. And then they came over to United Sounds system with Don Davis and was kicking out some hits. So did Aretha. Around that time, Motown was in California mostly, you know. But a lot of people got with Motown. The Isley Brothers, Sammy Davis Jr. They had a list of superstars with them. And when brothers first started crowding up the clubs with their music, the white people would come to the inner city, they call it slumming, up to the clubs, you know, the chitlin circuit, and dig on our music, whether it be jazz, R&B, or blues, or whatever. And when they started digging on it, it became crossover, you know. And it was a guy named Leadbelly that was the inventor of country and western, you know, music. They got a movie out now called Leadbelly. It's been out for them ever since the 70s, but he's the inventor of country, what they call country and western music. So, Motown had the Commodores, Lionel Richie. Oh man, Motown was on fire, man. But the Mafia had a hand in it. Had Berry Gordy, had he would have surrounded himself with the FOI, you know, he would have survived, you know, when the Mafia came. But like Michael, you know, when Michael got in a little trouble, who he called? The FOI. You know, but when the Mafia want to get you, they get you, man. They know there's many ways that they could kill you. You know. So when you in the entertainment world, I just want you to know that you're signing up with the Mafia. BMI, you know, all of them. CSAC, you know, ASCAP, Mafia, man. That worldwide distribution. They could put your songs in the jungle, in a little town ain't nobody heard of, or a little village ain't nobody heard of. But they collect it. You don't know nothing about it, though. You don't know where your songs are distributed to, you know. And they handling, you know, the upfront money. And plus they handling the venue, too. You make most of your money on stage when you do performance, live performance. They handling that too. They setting that up. Just like in the fight game, Mafia. But you remember what Ali did? When the FOI came up on the Mafia, they said, hands off. If you want to start a war, we can get down, brother. So they let him alone. And Ali was the one that started making boxers millionaires. Before him, they wasn't in the millionaire bracket. You know, so Muhammad Ali opened up the doors and the gates. We talking about Motown Sound and, you know, ELiJAH. There's a lot of Muslims that was FOI that was in the Nation of Islam, and still is, that are entertainers and actors. You know, Wesley Snipes came up through the ranks, and what's that guy on Empire? He dibbled and dabbled. I think he what's that brother name? Hustle and Flow brother. Oh man, I can't think of the brother's name. Y'all know who I'm talking about. That light-skinned brother, Lucius. You know, I done forgot his real name. I started calling him Lucius. You know, he was down with the NOI. You know, but he had to choose between the NOI or the Illuminati. You know. So the NOI, they don't like you, the Nation of Islam. They say cut that entertainment thing out. If you're gonna do it for yourself. You know. And the rappers, they was doing it for themselves for a minute. And selling out the back of their car, but that long overseas distribution, they can't handle that. This is Black Light Out. We're going to come back.